What's up, guys? So eating healthy is the reason why you're gaining weight, and I hear it all the time. I'm eating all the organic fruits and veggies, and I'm still gaining the weight. But here's the reason why. You're still at a surplus of calories. Could there be other reasons why you're gaining weight? Sure. There's lots of factors, like not getting enough sleep. Maybe you're stressed out. There could be some gut issues going on. There's probably some hormone factors going on. But just for right now, let's just concentrate on food intake. When it comes to eating healthy, people make this one big mistake: not eating the healthy foods in the correct portions. And what I mean by that, you might hear this word thrown around a lot: macros. But what are macros? What is it? Now, all it is your portions in protein, fat, and carbs. Most people make this one big mistake when they switch up their diet and start eating healthy. They still lack the correct amount of protein in their diet, and they consume way more fat and way more carbs than they can use for energy, which in return will put them in a surplus of calories. Now, calories is just another word for energy. Now, your body will take carbs and fat and burn them or make them into energy. But what happens when you have too much fat and too much carbs? To break it down simply, your body can only use one as a fuel source at a time. Now, let's get something straight, guys. There's nothing wrong with having carbs and fat. You need them both. But, like anything, you can consume too much of it for a too long period of a time, and that's where the problem lies. So let's look at it this way. If you have carbs and you have fat, carbs is kind of like gasoline. Fat is going to be like oil, motor oil, right? What happens when I take a lighter and I light the gasoline on fire? Right? It's going to blow up really quick. It's going to burn really fast. Now, if I have fat, which is, like I said, motor oil, and I take a lighter to it and I light it, what happens? It stays lit, right? Like oil in a lantern, let's say. You have oil in a lantern. What happens when I light that oil? It stays lit and it burns, right? It doesn't just go and it's done. That's kind of like carbs and fat, right? When I put carbs into my body's going to burn that really quickly for fuel, all right? That's why when you give a kid a bunch of sugar, all of a sudden, like 10 minutes later, they're running all over the place, right? So your body's going to burn the carbs up really, really quickly. The fat will take a little bit longer to break down and fuel you for later on. That's kind of like how they use, let's say bulletproof coffee. They throw some fat into the coffee. They blend it up with the caffeine and stuff like that. The fat will kind of give them energy throughout, a period of time. It burns slower, all right? So if we have carbs and we have fat and we have a meal that has protein in it, we have a very little bit of protein on that plate and we have lots of carbs and lots of fat on that plate, all right? When I consume my breakfast, there's too much fat and too much carbs. My body's going to take both those fuels into the body. It's going to take the carbs and it's going to burn those carbs up for energy. And it's going to take the fat, because it can only burn one at a time. It's going to take the fat and say, hey, I'm going to store this for later, just in case we don't eat for a couple hours or a couple of days, right? It's a survival mechanism to do that. It's going to burn the carbs up right now and then save the fat for later. But what happens with the standard American diet that we have? 2 hours later, maybe 3 hours later, you go out for lunch. And what happens? You have a little bit of protein on your plate, you have lots of carbs, and you have lots of fat. What happens now? The body burns up those carbs and stores that fat for later. 3 hours later, we have a snack. The snack is probably like zero protein now. Let's just say it's still a little bit of protein. Same thing, lots of carbs, lots of fat. Burns the carbs up for energy, stores the fat for later. Same thing for dinner. So what happens, guys? We have a surplus of too many carbs, too much fat, not enough protein. What we want to do is we want to have just the right amount of carbs, just the right amount of fat, and just the right amount of protein. That's going to be different for every individual depending on what their goal is and how their life is, their lifestyle, how much energy they burn in a day. There's different ways of calculating how to do that. I can show you how to do that later on if you want some information on that. But what we want to focus on right now is continue eating healthy foods, right? We want to make sure we're still getting organic foods and grass-fed meats and stuff like that, all right? But instead of just focus on just eating healthier, focus on getting the adequate or the right amount of calories and macros you're going to need to fuel your body. That's going to depend on each individual, right? You know, so-and-so might need more calories. You know, I might need way more calories than you do just because my lifestyle demands more of it, right? So if you need help figuring out how many calories or how to portion your macros, drop a hashtag me in the comment section and I'll help you figure that out, all right? It's not rocket science, okay? When I talk to my friends or family members about this, you know, it might be way over their head in the beginning. It's like, what the hell's a macro and how do I figure out? I can show you how to do this. So if you need help with it, drop a hashtag me in the comment section and I'll be more than happy to help you guys.